It is my profound privilege to be able to share with you the work that we are doing in the Philippines. My presentation is divided into 3 sections. First, an overview of the Philippine context. Second, the innovations under Project Cyber. And third, the notable results of this project. Let's take a look at our context. Docket congestion is a widespread, if not a universal experience in our trial courts. Recent studies have shown that in the Philippines, the average duration of litigation is between 1.5 to 2.7 years. However, there are instances when the disparity between our caseload and the resources at our disposal causes delay. When I was beginning my career as a law clerk for the Court of Appeals, I handled the case that was pending in the trial courts for 25 years. This experience has instilled in me the drive to devote thought and effort in expediting our court processes. We understand that delay causes injustice, and this is pronounced in the marginalized sector of the women who come in conflict with the law. In a publication supported by the United Nations, it was shown that WICLs experience disadvantages and, in extreme cases, abuse when they are criminally prosecuted. Later, I will share some cases to illustrate these. One of the many factors that contributes to delay is our heavy reliance on a paper-based system. With only physical records as references, work performance is strictly on-site and subject to the availability of hard copies. Physical storage is not also sufficiently secure. For example, in 2009, Typhoon Kitsuna, which we locally know as Typhoon Ondoy, devastated the Philippines. Case records and evidence were lost due to heavy flooding. And down the road, prosecutors had to withdraw criminal charges because documents could not be reconstituted. And then there is also the issue of data integrity. Owing to the physical and sometimes singular nature of case records, information becomes at risk for alteration, for tampering, either by human error or by human design. These limitations were highlighted during the early part of the pandemic when courts had to be physically closed. But it was also at this time when we were able to develop opportunities to address these deficiencies. For one, the Judges at Large law was implemented. Roving judges gave the judiciary greater flexibility in meeting the exigencies of the service, such as filling a vacancy, pending a permanent appointment, or providing support to a heavily docketed court. As a roving judge, I was able to experience firsthand the issues and the best practices in 3 city courts, and to bring transferable solutions across my assignments. The other major development is the Supreme Court's provision of Judiciary 365, a cloud-based productivity platform which acted as a forcing mechanism for rethinking how our work was designed. In fact, our Supreme Court is now drafting the amended rules on the conduct of video conference hearings as a regular option for court proceedings. The confluence of these developments have empowered me to design and lead Project Cyber. Project Cyber is a tech-based solution that have helped the 3 trial courts I have worked with to attain better efficiency and accuracy in the management of our dockets. It has 3 major components: infrastructure, or the computing devices, programs, and internet access; people, comprised of judicial staff, public prosecutors, and public defenders; and data, the most valuable commodity in the world, which pertains to case records and conclusions from the analysis of critical data points. To optimize these components, I designed the system based on 3 principles. First, simplicity. The system has to be uncomplicated, user-friendly, and with the potential for intuitive use. In terms of infrastructure, it really is just computers, scanners, and access to the internet. Second, inclusivity. User roles and interdependencies have to be defined, and consensus must be built among stakeholders. Third, sustainability. The system has to withstand changes in leadership and individual users, and it must be capable of replication and scaling up. We took these principles together and started the project rollout by training judicial staff and informing public prosecutors and defenders. Training extended throughout the use of the system and were given in the form of brown bags, one-on-one sessions, and open feedback. Data was then converted from physical to digital by scanning records and organizing digital counterparts in a secure online library under Judiciary 365, and by creating a database of relevant data points for docket and resource management and reporting. Lastly, in the tradition of evolutionary learning, feedback was encouraged and solicited among users so that issues could be fleshed out and collective solutions could be applied. Now we go into the results. Increased efficiency was apparent in how we moved away from the manual counting to the automatic generation of statistics for periodic reporting, and in how we were able to better monitor the progress of cases with data points informing the allocation of resources such as trial dates. Users also gained confidence in learning and transferring knowledge skills among themselves. It was heartwarming to witness a computer-averse judicial staff member beam with pride for having successfully taught a colleague techniques in using the system. This internal efficiency and data culture benefited litigants, particularly WICLs with pending cases. In this first case, an 18-year-old woman was charged with a violation of the sanitation code for allegedly being a guest relations officer, which in the Philippines is another term for a sex worker, in a bar without the requisite health certificate. The case was flagged by our system because it had been pending for 11 years, and for this reason, it was given consecutive and continuous trial dates. We were able to finish arraignment up to the promulgation of judgment in 1.5 months, with the WICL being acquitted. With her acquittal came the end of 11 years of the inability to pursue further education, obtain gainful employment, and of course the end of the societal stigma against her perceived sex work. The second case involves two women who were charged with a violation of city ordinances on curfew and the wearing of face masks in public. On the occasion of their arrest, they were also allegedly found to have been in possession of illegal drugs, for which separate cases were filed before the regional trial court. Unable to post bail for their drug charges, and you can ask me about this later, both women remained in the city jail for about 2 years, and in these 2 years, these women were unable to fulfill their roles as primary caregivers, and their deprivation of liberties equated to the deprivation of social support and economic stability for their families. The system flagged their cases as priority cases because they were detention prisoners, and after 3 months of trial, these women were acquitted of the city ordinance violations. And during my quarterly visit, I learned that they were processing their release because their drug charges have also been dismissed, and what I imagine could only be an application of the fruit of the poisonous tree doctrine. Now, before I end my presentation, I would like to leave you with this. Not just from this afternoon session, but really from the last 3 days. We women judges, we women leaders have been gifted with the capacity not only to think, but equally importantly, with the capacity to feel and to bring changes that resonate with our humanity. And with technology on our side, I dare say and I dare claim, we are the future.